Hello, hello, hello. It is Thursday afternoon, and we finally got this all together. As you can tell, no time to do my hair, guys. I got it on a really tight schedule, and I need to get you out our picks before tonight's Thursday night game. But before we start, we're the end zone enthusiasts. Why? Because we're coaster enthusiasts who love the NFL. And today's shirt is my top roller coaster, guys. Iron Gwazi over at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Fingers crossed, it's going to be my home park someday. But for now, it's still Hershey Park there. But right in front of us here, we've got Whopper, we've got Banshee, we've got Pantheon, we got a random hippo. We're ready to go into the picks here. So we're going to be talking about each game, and we're going to give you our picks. Now, as you can tell by the bottom of the screen, right about there, we are currently 45 correct and 18 wrong. We got off week 1 and week 2, 13 right, 12 right. But the last 2 weeks, we got 10 right each. So kind of got a little bit off track. And we are hoping that with this week right here, that we are going to be able to change all that. But before we get started, guys, the bye weeks are here. It's October. It's time for teams to take off. And I always feel bad for teams right now who get the first bye week because you're 4 weeks into the season. There are going to be injuries. But, man, once you get off this bye week, you're going 10, 12, 13 weeks straight. And if you make the playoffs, even worse. So all these teams – I feel bad for. We all got to get bye weeks here, but these guys definitely have a long, tough road ahead. And they include the Atlanta Falcons, who just got a big win last week. So they got destroyed by Carolina, but they just destroyed Washington. So they're kind of in that zone where are we good or are we bad? You got the Chicago Bears, who are 0-2, actually 0-3, I think. No, 0-2, but they won their last 2 games. So they're on a win streak here. So sometimes you wonder if you want to get that bye week or not. Next is the Green Bay Packers, who I got to admit, kind of need the bye week, not for injuries, but just to figure out what's going on. Just like last year, they were 2-0 and dominating, just like the New Orleans Saints. And we all know how that fell apart. Is that the same fate for Green Bay? We're going to find out. And last but not least is the team who is leading the AFC North, not Cincinnati, not Baltimore, Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh at this point is 3-1. Not many injuries right now, notable injuries that they need to take care of. But you know what? They're sitting on top of the division, and they can watch the other teams beat themselves up. So with that being said, let's dive right on into Thursday night. And this is, boom, let's do this real quick here. This is a battle for the NFC West. Now, these two teams historically have the last 5 years been going back and forth, back and forth. So when they put this in the books, they were thinking this is going to be for first place. The sad part about it is it might be for first place, but these teams are going 2 totally different directions. You got the LA Rams, who only have 1 loss, and let's be real, my Eagles literally did 2 miracles, blocked field goals for them to pull that off. So the Rams at this point, definitely an up-and-coming team. They took on the undefeated Indianapolis Colts and beat them down. Meanwhile, San Francisco, every time they have a game, they lose a player. Brock Purdy, yet again, is not playing tonight, along with, I think George Kittle might be back, but Person is out. Ayuk hasn't come back. Nick Bosa is done for the year. This team is hurting, so I'm not going to bore you. The Rams are healthier. The Rams have more talent, and the Rams are going to win. At this point, if San Francisco could pull off this miracle, it's going to really throw the NFL for a loop. Just like Green Bay losing to Cleveland and just like the Giants beating Jacksonville, this loss, if San Francisco pulls it off, would be right on par with those. I don't see it happening. I'm going with the Rams. All right, so now we are going into Sunday. And for the second week in a row, we've got an international game here, guys. So waking up here on the East Coast at 9:30, you're good. If you're on the West Coast, I feel so sorry because 6 a.m. is not a time to wake up and watch football, to be honest with you. But that's what we got here. And for the second week in a row, Minnesota didn't bother coming back. They are still overseas in Europe, and this time they're taking on the Cleveland Browns. Now, Minnesota last week, I had them picked. I thought they were going to go in there and beat up on Pittsburgh. The exact opposite happened. Yes, the score looked closer than it was, but yet again, I think we got Carson Wentz. So Carson Wentz is 1-1. One game, he looked dominant, and the other game, he looked like a mess. So is he going to be able to get the ball to Justin Jefferson over to Adelson? Is it going to happen? Meanwhile, you got Cleveland, who pulled off the upset 2 weeks ago with Green Bay. That defense is awesome. But here's the thing. their offense has been horrible. So after last week's loss and embarrassing loss to Detroit, they're benching Flacco and they're going with Gabriel. All right, the guy who's ahead of Shedeur Sanders. And with that being said, Shedeur Sanders is not the backup. Flacco's the backup. So if you're a Shedeur Sanders guy, I want Shedeur. Shedeur's going to do it. Apparently in the practices, and what he's not doing what he needs to do to jump the other two. So with that being said, you got a rookie quarterback going up against a team who has a seasoned veteran. And because of that, this is the 50-50, but I'll go with the Vikes. I just think that the defenses on both are very good. All right, let's knock that out there. Cleveland's probably a little bit better, but I do think that with Jefferson, with Adelson, and that whole offense there, with the genius of their head coach, I really think they're going to find a way to beat Cleveland. And I think Cleveland going up against that Vikings defense it's a rookie. He's going to have a tough time. Yes, I know Dart just did it last week, but you know what? I just have a feeling that it's going to be the Vikes. So now we're going into the afternoon games, and the first one we're going to talk about is the Houston Texans, who got the first win last week, guys, and they annihilated Tennessee. So it was a good win. They shut them out, and they scored a ton of points, but it was against Tennessee. Going up against Baltimore, who else saw this coming, right? Baltimore is 1-3. They already lost to Kansas City, and they already lost to Buffalo. So if they can right this ship, there's no way they're going to get a number 1 or number 2 seed. So at this point, they're going to be going on the road in the playoffs. And a lot of people have them basically taking over the AFC and being the Super Bowl guys going into the AFC. So this is a shock. Also factor in that Lamar Jackson is not healthy. This could be an ugly game for Baltimore. There's even infighting in the locker room right now with people revolting against John Harbaugh, who's been there forever and is taking the team to Super Bowls. But it is what it is. So you got a team that had a really good win, but has a lot of problems against a team that has the talent. Even if Lamar Jackson's not playing, you got Derrick Henry. You got just a great lineup there. How's it going to go? I think the Ravens are going to rebound. Yeah, sure. Ravens are going to rebound. I'm not confident on this. I'd be more confident if Lamar is a definite to play, but at the time of filming this, we don't know. We do these on Thursday afternoons. Usually we do them Tuesday, so this is like last minute for me to do it. So I usually never have any information, but we do have some information. But I just think the talent base in Baltimore and the pride base of Baltimore and the fact that it is in Baltimore is going to give them the advantage over Houston. So I'm going with the Ravens like I did last week. Don't embarrass me like you did last week. Next one is the South rises again, people. And this one here, you got Carolina against Miami. So this is going to be taking place in Carolina. And Miami last week got the winless off their shoulders. You know, they won the game. They kind of dominated the game against the Jets, even though they did lose Tyreek Hill. But they still scored without Tyreek. Going up against Carolina, who 2 weeks ago shocked the world with a brutal beatdown of Atlanta. And then the following week, last week, fell apart. So I don't know what Carolina team we're going to get here. Meanwhile, Miami, yeah, they won a game, but McDaniels is still on the hot seat. So he's going to be able to pull this off. You can go either direction with this, but for me, the Fins are going to win because I just can't count on the Cats. You got to realize some of these losses that Miami had were self-inflicted. If Tua doesn't cough up the ball, if they play smart football, I think talent with Tua, Waddle, and Achane is a lot higher than what Carolina has. So I'm going out on a limb here. I'm going to say Miami. I think if you're looking at the betting lines, Miami's slightly ahead. It's just because you don't know what you're going to get with Carolina after the last 2 weeks. We can be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if also Carolina wakes up and they beat down Miami. But my gut's telling me that the experience and still the talent, even without Tyreek Hill, is going to give the Fins the win. Next one is Lady Luck. Now, this works for both of them. Yes, one of them is Las Vegas. But the other one, too, is Danny Dimes, baby. Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones, whatever you want to call this guy. He's been playing smart football, and when it can go left or it can go right, it's been going the right way every time. So let's talk about the Vegas first. Their biggest problem is their quarterback. Geno Smith is taking way too many risks and being very careless with the ball, rather fumbling, interceptions. Most of their losses can be streamed back to Geno Smith. The defense is solid. My God, Mason Crosby last week went nuts. Not Mason Crosby. Crosby, though. Max. So Mason Crosby was a kicker for Green Bay. Sorry about that. But he was going nuts in the backfield. He was sacking left and right. Defense is solid, but they're not getting the ball. I don't know if this is Chip Kelly or Geno here, but the mistakes have been piling on. Feed Bowers. Bowers is their best player on the team. Feed him the ball. And Gentry last week did really well. Got 2 touchdowns. He looks good. So if Geno stops the mistakes, they have a good shot. But Indianapolis is Indianapolis. Yes, they lost last week, but they were in a big competitive game against the Rams, and their one wide receiver cost them at least 1 touchdown, probably 2. And it's easy to say, well, he didn't get the touchdown, blah, blah, blah. He fumbled on the 1 yard line, switching hands so he could go, woohoo. That was totally on him. You add those 7 points in, 6 points in, it's a different outcome. So Indianapolis is legit. And boom. No, wait. Yep. Colts are just way too talented. Colts are way too talented. So at this point, Vegas, you're going to be 1-4? 1-4. So your season's pretty much done. Next game we got here is boom. Come on, where is this? There we go. The battle for the first pick. Now, maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong there. But both these teams are considered bottom feeders. They're in the bottom 5. All right. Even with the win last week, the incredible win last week by the Giants, people still consider these guys on the bottom. And the Saints, the last 2 weeks, have played like the worst team in the league. So you got 2 teams that are pretty even if you think about it. You got Rattler on one side there who's 0-10, and you got Dart who's 1-0, but he's still a rookie. You got decent running attacks with, of course, Alvin Kamara going up against Scannaboo on that end there. But the one thing, Olave is healthy. Meanwhile, Neighbors out for the year. So I think this is going to come down to the defenses. And because of that, Giants are going to win their second in a row. Yep, they're going to win 2 in a row. Now, they're still going to be 2-3, but they might be better than Dallas at this point. That tie is going to really mess up things throughout the year. But all in all, I just think Dart is that talented. He got beat up in that game, so the offensive line needs to step up. But I think going against the Saints, even though they have some veterans and they got talent on the team, I just think that defensive line of the Giants is really going to mess with Rattler, and Rattler is going to have a horrible day. Next team here is all these teams better than this, because going into the season, we know the Dallas offense was really good. And we also know the Jets have to be getting better than last year. So going into this game, who is going to show up here? Well, like I said, Dak has been playing great. They tied last week, but they scored 40 points. All right. Their defense is really, really, really bad. And we knew it was going to lose something without Micah, but we didn't realize they were going to lose it all. Meanwhile, the Jets have been in these games, even against Miami, with every call going against them. They were still in the game. And they should have won the Buccaneers game, but you got Baker. So who do I think is going to take this one? Jets, Jets. I just really think that the defense is better with the Jets going against the offense than vice versa. So I think that the Jets are going to be able to score in that defense. Everybody's been able to score in that defense. Meanwhile, and like I said, you have a veteran there who is a very fast quarterback in the backfield there with the Jets. So I just think the Jets deserve it. I don't think Dallas deserves anything. And because of that, my heart's telling me go with the Jets. Next one is the battle of the D. You've got 2 very, very good defenses here. You got one that most people consider going into the season as the top defense. And then you got Philadelphia, who the linebackers are a little bit hurt right now with Nolan Smith being out. However, They're not getting the pass rush, but they're stopping the run. And the corners, they are shut down corners. And meanwhile, on the other side there, the Eagles have gotten beaten up this entire week with their offensive plays. They're being called unoriginal, backyard. The route trees have been a joke. The running attack has been down the middle or to the right. Nothing creative on that end. I think this is the wake-up call for Philadelphia. I think you got to get A.J. Brown involved, even though I think he's a big baby. See my last video, let you know how I think about A.J. Brown. You got to get Goddard in there. You got to get Smith. You got to go vertical. There's no reason why you're just dumping it off to the running back Saquon or dumping it off to Dallas. You got to go vertical. You got the talent to go vertical. Unless Jalen, you're a running back. You know, if you're accurate with the passing, if you're able to get a quicker release, you're going to be able to do that. So that being said, I think this is a bad week for Denver to be there because I think the Birds offense has gotten beat up so much that this is going to be that game where they're going to break it open. They're going to get that running attack going. They're going to go for it on 4th and 3. They're just going to pound it, and they're going to go deep. They're going to mix up the plays so much. Because the reality is, if they have another flat offensive scheme this time, that offensive coordinator is going to be out of there because you have a Super Bowl winning and Super Bowl caliber team. And if this offensive coordinator is not up for the challenge, you need to get somebody in there who is. All right. So this is make or break for, they're going to be 5-0, but they got to win, making it look pretty. So that's where we're going out with that. Next one is, does anybody care? Tennessee against Arizona. And I do mean anybody. Because if I'm a Tennessee Titan fan, am I watching this game? If I'm Arizona, am I not thinking SOS, same old stuff? So this game here, if anybody watches it, I applaud you. Now, I have Red Zone, so I will see parts of it, all right? But all in all, you got Tennessee, who's 0-4 and looks like the worst team. I know the Saints were supposed to be it, but the coach, Callahan, is not doing a great job. Under 100 yards passing, 100 yards receiving last week, no points. They got a decent defense, but you got to be able to score points. Going against Arizona, I think Kyler Murray has reached his peak. He is going to be a C+, B- quarterback, getting paid like an A- B+ quarterback. And I just think that the limit's there. Now, I know that Connor hurts them, but you got talent there with McBride. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. You have the talent, you're just not showing up. But with all that being said, it is Tennessee. Cards win these games, and they're going to do it again. They're going to look sloppy. They're going to let Tennessee stay in it, but at the end, they're only going to have one loss because they're going to get a victory on this one. Next one is the game of the week, guys. Tampa Bay against Seattle. These teams are both 3-1. Both these teams had a tough loss. Tampa, they had a chance to beat the Eagles. Seattle had a chance to beat San Francisco. Both of these teams could very easily be 4-0, or they could be 0-4. Very close games here. So it's going to come down to, for me, the defenses. Is the Tampa defense going to turn into the defense in the second half with the Eagles and shut down Sam Darnold? Or is that defense on Seattle going to really play with a lot of schemes and things like that, take Bucky out of the game, who might not even be in the game because of an injury now? So Mayfield, Darnold, who's going to be better? Well, with me, I think with or without Bucky, Tampa Bay is going to win this. Even though it is in Seattle, you got that 12th man. But all in all, I really think that Baker is just on a high. He almost brought it back against the Eagles after being down by like 19. So he's got the skill set there. I don't know the status of Evans right now, but I think with Auden, with Goodwin, and of course the great rookie there, Ibuka, they got a good enough scheme there that with Baker, I think the offense is going to really break through that Seattle defense and take it to a new level. This one's going to get ugly. Detroit against Cincinnati. Oh, what could have been if Burrow was healthy? This would have been a great matchup here, but he's not. And Browning, who did very well 2 years ago when the quarterback was out, Joe Burrow was out, he's not doing that this year. This year, he looks very, very bad. Just very, very bad. So many interceptions, you've got Higgins, you got Chase, you got McConkey, you've got great people there that you can throw the ball to, and you're not doing it. You're just not doing it. And your defense was always suspect. And a suspect defense against Detroit, it's not going to be close. Does anybody else feel bad for the Kitties? Yes, I know Lions are also cats, but I'm talking about the Bengals, all right? Or the Bungles at this point. It's not going to be pretty. Detroit is not going to let up. Detroit was embarrassed in that first game, and everybody after that first game is going to be paying for it. So this one, if Cincinnati can pull this off, it is the biggest upset of the year. And remember, we had some big upsets this year. Next one is, let's right this ship. You got two teams who lost last week who were both looking at their teams, playoff caliber teams. You got the Washington Commanders with Daniels still out as far as I know, and Scary Terry out, losing the last couple games, going against the Chargers who laid an egg in New York. Yes, MetLife Stadium beats you up, and Joe Alt is out for a while because that turf yet again claims another person here. But the Chargers should not have lost here. So I'm going to make this quick and painless here. The Chargers need to right the ship. Harbaugh's going to get them ready to play, and the Bolts are going to rebound. All right. The Commanders at this point there, until they get Daniels back, until they get Scary Terry back, they're fighting with one arm behind their back. Next one is the Sunday night game, and this one could be interesting. It's going to be closer than you thought. It's New England against Buffalo Bills. Buffalo's undefeated. They scored 30 points in every one of their games. 4-0, 30 points every game. Their problem is their defense. So against some of these teams coming up, their defense needs to get healthy, and they need to get back where they need to be there. Meanwhile, New England had a dominating win last week. They looked like a good team to sneak into the wild card. But the problem is you're going up against the 5-0 Buffalo Bills, and this is in Buffalo, and you're lucky it's not snowing, but it's in Buffalo. And at this point, I just think Cook, Allen, the wide receiver 1, 1A, 1B, and 1C, these guys are just going to be too much for New England to handle. And last but not least, we actually have a decent Monday night game, guys. We got the Kansas City Chiefs, who are starting to right the ship. At this point, they won 2 in a row. They won a dominating game against who a lot of people thought Baltimore was going to be a formidable opponent, going up against Jacksonville, who their defense is a lot better than you think. So this one, most people will be giving the edge to Kansas City because Mahomes, 4 touchdowns last week. As long as Mahomes is healthy, most people got to go with Mahomes. And because they got not Rice. Rice is still out. The other gentleman back, the other wide receiver, Worthy's back. That can drag the field out there. It makes everybody better. Even though he was the number 1 rushing runner that weekend, and before that, it was Mahomes every other time. The running attack is very bad in Kansas City. But Jacksonville, I still don't believe in Trevor Lawrence. I just don't think he's got what he needs. I don't see Travis as really picking up yet there. But with all that being said, Jags are going to win, guys. I think the Jags are going to win. I think the lack of a running attack by Kansas City is going to make them one-dimensional. And I believe that the corners and the pass rush of the Jags is going to make life tough for Mahomes. And the other thing, too, is he's getting older. He might not be as quick as he used to be. And I think there's enough quickness on that defensive side to make it tough. So that is my picks going into this week. In 5 hours, we see the first game here. But next week, and I promise you this, Tuesday, we're going to do the wrap-up. Wednesday, the power rankings, which is by far my favorite video to do. And, of course, we'll do our picks there. But once again, guys, fly, Eagles, fly. Baker's got to bake. And, of course, Bills, just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to be 5-0.